it was interesting this year to sort of have the same thing. It's like I watched the movie with my two kids on the couch, and, you know, they learned a lot of new bad words because my daughter can read now and read the subtitles. So she was like, "Mom, what's a twat waffle?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, here we go." And then the movie premiered, and we went, you know, I had to go up and we did this Zoom Q&A, and we finished the Zoom Q&A, and then I went down and my kids wanted me to read them 2 chapters of like Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, and my phone's blowing up and my daughter's like, "Stop looking at your phone." And I'm like, "Okay, I will not look at my phone. I'll just just read this book and like pretend that that didn't just happen."
Yeah, the back of your mind is just going crazy.
Then the announcement was happening so fast afterwards. I think, you know, they asked me for like a quote about it, and like by the time I had sent a quote, it was already all over the papers and stuff. So it was super thrilling, and totally surreal to be experiencing this big moment, you know, in my house. And, you know, my 7-year-old is giving me advice about the bitters. She's like, "Mom, I think you should tell them that like neither of them can have it if they keep fighting over it." And I'm like, "Great advice. I'll just tell them all they can't have it because they won't stop fighting." So, but it was just so exciting.
Was it your original concept?
No, it was based on a French film called La Famille Bellier. And it was actually after I was at Sundance in 2016 with Tallulah. And I sort of came off of Sundance and went in to meet the producers, Patrick Washburger and Philippe Rousselet. Philippe had produced the French film, and he had the rights to do an American remake. And he brought me in to sort of, you know, I think it was an interesting task. I've never done that before, and I was wary about doing an adaptation of a movie that already existed, but they were very open to me coming in and really bringing my own take on the film, and, you know, sort of personalizing it and, you know, going deeper in a way. So I kind of took what I liked from the original and then kind of started from scratch in terms of writing the script and stuff. But no, it was a long time in development, and, you know, I feel relieved that it ended up, you know, with the support that it had in my producers, because they allowed me to cast authentically and, you know, sort of make the film the way that I wanted to make it.
My congratulations on the film is about how unique and organic it is, and it's such a narrative that, you know, sort of deals with coming of age on the one hand and a unique world on the other hand, and yet it never feels like it's preaching. It never feels like look at us, we're unique. It just is so wrapped around the story. So I was just so struck by in the first half of the film, I didn't feel a false moment, which is pretty rare for a movie.
And I think with this film, it was interesting to us to be approaching, you know, so many scenes in ASL, where there was, you know, almost no spoken dialogue, and what we were going to do with the camera to capture that, and how we could really create an interesting visual world, but keep everybody's hands in frame, and never be coming in so close that we were cutting off the language. And so I think it was just a really amazing collaboration. We both came at it in an open state of, you know, as two hearing people wanting to learn and wanting to sort of understand the best way to capture this family. And we were really lucky to have deaf collaborators on set, and Ann Tomasetti, who was our director of ASL, wrote us this beautiful, almost essay about what it's like to be a deaf person sitting at a table trying to follow a hearing conversation, and what that feels like, and the way that you have to sort of dart from person to person and look for clues. And Paula and I read that, and it was really beautiful for us to then talk about it and go, we know how to shoot this scene now, you know, to sort of try to capture what that feeling is. And so we were lucky to also just have the right collaborators on set who could kind of help us with that perspective.
I really feel like the interpreters on set made such a difference more than just translating words. And that's because of Sean and because of the actors and because we were CODAs. You know, it was like Sean has said, like we all came together. It was like a family and a collaboration. And it was a really, really unique working environment. I've never had anything like it before.
COVID, did you have to do color timing on CODA during COVID?
It was so annoying.
Yeah,
What was that process, Paula?
It was painful. Well, just because we were working remotely and the facility we were working with was not 100% set up to do it. I've done it remotely before where it's worked, but it would have been nicer to be in the same room.
I did find post-production to be more challenging than actual on-set production, as Sean alluded to, which is kind of ironic because I feel that post-production has been working remotely and away from everybody else for such a long time that that process would actually be more equipped and streamlined. And we had some amazing vendors. We did color with Light Iron, who's like, you know, top notch. And they, you know, this is how they did. I mean, they sent calibrated iPads from their lab to our cinematographer and director, and did a couple weeks of remote color sessions through those iPads that you couldn't like go into the settings and change them. They were perfectly like done in a way that to their standard, the big ones. And we had to do audio where they were sending the files, and Lyle, director, and myself even, we were QCing sound reels on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, you know, right through the holidays, because we were trying to make that deadline. And it was tough. I mean, you know, being experienced and going to theaters for sound mixing and color, and, you know, having to do this stuff at home on your, you know, iMac or MacBook Pro was a tough one. And then we didn't know if our sound guy's great resume, and I'm sure he's wonderful, but we're like, is he understanding what we were saying? Because are we hearing it the way he's hearing it, or he's mixing it, or is this Foley hit the right place, or are we nuts, or is this time code one thing? Then you start to self-doubt like what you're going through, and it gets really really complex. And I just remember, I was on the phone with the sound guy like 7:30 on Christmas Eve because we had to like correct something in reel one that they were going to put through, and we got through that. But yeah, it was a tough process, but you know, we got through it. It was interesting. But yeah, the on-set stuff during COVID, it's manageable. I mean, we even did it here.
Yep.
There's the AFI plug, Susan. We did it here to much success throughout the fall with our protocols, and you know, but it can be done, and if it's done safely, it can be done with success. And a lot of shows and movies are shooting right now.
As an artist, the joy is making the thing, you know, and it's great when then it translates and an audience gets to share in that. But I really had a profound thought about that yesterday, because I realized that my love is actually the creation of it.
For all the producing fellows in here, stick together, because you don't know when your skill sets can benefit each other in the real world. And for me, and I tell this to all the fellows, is always, you know, just be ready, because you don't know what's going to come your way. And yeah, like, you know, I'm getting a little emotional, but it's like, you know, I didn't know that this was going to come my way, but I was ready when it came my way to make this movie.